What up, everybody? It's your boy Evan, one half of MF Pearl. We got the other half sitting behind the camera, making sure that we rolling. We got David back there. Yeah, but today we got one of them episodes where we got two guests on the pod, boy. So he don't have a mic today, but you know what it is? Every Wednesday, Legends Only in the building, live at MFHQ. Disclaimer. Live at MFHQ is in fact not recorded live. It's actually a pre-recorded program. This episode contains really explicit content, so feel free to do what you wish with that information. If you could ever be so kind of like, follow, and subscribe for me. We go a very long way. New episodes every Wednesday. Now back to the show. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today, we have a... Oh, hold on. Let me just go ahead and do some housekeeping real quick. Make sure that you guys are showing love to the channel. I know that we had a little bit of a hiccup, and we had some time off between our episodes, but we got it going. You know what I mean? It's a hurdle that we went ahead and overcame, and we love how we handled the situation overall. So shout outs to the boys at MF Pearl Logistics, handling it right. But make sure that you guys continue to show love to the platforms. You guys can find all of our full-length episodes on YouTube and mfpearl.com. And you can go ahead and stay up to date with all of our most recent updates on our Instagram. That's where we're the most active, at MF Pearl. But if you guys find our podcast on any of your favorite streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, make sure that you guys go ahead and give it a rating, share it, like it, save it, whatever you can do to show love on those platforms so that we can keep growing. But let's get back to the episode. Today, we have some guests that we have the pleasure of meeting for the very first time. Not every episode is like that. Their work is focused in areas such as brain health and immune function. And this work is done through the power of mushrooms, boy. You know what we're getting into today. Here in La Frontera, there's a diverse farming community. And as time goes on, we have more and more access to locally sourced food and supplements. And we have the opportunity to speak to a couple of those who have been contributing to that community, not only to our human health, but to the health of the environment as well, because along with their mushroom products, they also direct an organization that educates the community on the benefits of mycelium and fungi as a whole. Yes, sir. Talk to me different. The intros are coming out. Sheesh. This is one of those, though, where... we are going into the conversation just as blind as our audience on this one. We have lots of questions, genuinely curious. So without further ado, live at the HQ, we welcome Aixa and Max, founders of the PASO Mushroom Company. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lovely introduction.
Thank you.
Yeah, incredible.
How are you all doing?
Doing
So
great.
stoked.
Doing good?
Grateful.
Yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
Max was telling us a little bit about the day. You guys were on live interviewing somebody from Mexico?
Yeah, he's from California, based in Mexico, providing access to psilocybin microdoses.
Nice. Oh, I'm so excited to ask some questions about all that. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for taking the time to be on the platform. This is our first time we get to talk about some subject matter such as this, so it's going to be cool. It's like different topics and everything.
Oh yeah, we're stoked. I'm looking forward to it, and thank you both for having us as well. Yeah, this is awesome.
Let's introduce you to the audience a bit. When does El Paso Mushroom Company start? When does your other business within this industry begin? How do you guys find yourselves here?
Yeah, so I was studying mycology and just environmental science 2020, so when COVID happened. So I got the lovely time to just dive super deep into all things fungi, from what psilocybin can do to, bioremediation and biotechnology using fungi and mycelium. So I was just super obsessed with that. And then I got to meet Max. When I was living in California, he went to visit me, and what happened?
So then I guess that's where my story comes in, but I had some profound experiences with magic mushrooms over COVID that really, really helped me with things like depression and my ADD. So I had this curiosity about mushrooms and the power of mushrooms. So coming up to California, we re-met in a way because we had already known each other from high school, but we basically connected, and she taught me a lot about what she was studying and all the other facets of mushrooms and fungi too, beyond just psychedelic mushrooms. And that's when I was really inspired to just learn more, and that's kind of where our journey together started. Do you want to continue?
Yeah,
that
and then
story?
we went to our first psychedelic conference ever in Los Angeles in 2021, was it?
2022. Yeah, 2
2022,
years ago.
and that really just created this kind of aha moment of we should definitely host more events educating people not just on psychedelics but on what fungi and all of their applications, what they actually can do for us in our environment. So I had a friend at the time who owned a mushroom shop in Long Beach, California. It's called Culture Shrooms. Shout out Culture Shrooms and Omar.
Culture
There we
shroom.
go.
But yeah, and I hit him up and I was like, yo, we want to do like an event where we teach people about mushrooms. Like, are you down? And he was like, yeah, do whatever you guys want. Just, don't fuck with my store. And wait, sorry, we can't cuss.
No, you
No.
can guess all you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was like, don't mess with my store. As long as, you guys keep it cool and like family friendly, we're good. So we hosted our first event. It was an absolute success. I was a behavioral therapist at the time, so I quit my job. I was like, later, I'm going to just host mushroom events and just teach people about fungi and all their applications for the rest of my life. So yeah, then we started just hosting more and more events in our Long Beach location at Culture, with Culture Shrooms, and then we started expanding into Texas, and we hosted our first Texas Mushroom Conference in Austin. That was an extreme success. We worked with the Center for Psychedelic Research and Therapy. And then we just kept on having more and more events, got into conferences, festivals. What kind of other events? Would you
Yeah,
say?
just integrating into like a a reggae festival in Santa Barbara, and then a wellness festival in Orange County. But yeah, two really like central pillars of that story is that we wanted to bring this education in an accessible manner, just because a lot of events we were going to at the time were very expensive. They're like hundreds to thousands of dollars to go to these psychedelic conferences, which, if you can afford that, that's cool and all, but that wasn't really bringing the education to other demographics and crowds
Oh,
of
yeah,
people. So we definitely wanted to do that with our events. So make them, $20, make them free, make them sometimes $50, but just pricing them on the lower end. And then,
We would come visit El Paso and be like, damn, there's no mushroom anything here. Like the closest mushroom farm we have is in New Mexico, which is super cool. Shout out Full Circle Mushrooms and Jimena too. But there's not really any mushroom education or any functional or whole fresh mushrooms here in El Paso. So I think that was also where this idea of El Paso mushroom came in, is we're educating all these people in California and in Austin, but we're like kind of neglecting our hometown. So that's when this bright idea of starting a mushroom farm came to be, and we were just like, we'd have to be out there for a little bit because we're mainly based in LA. So we've been here for the past month getting the mushroom farm started. It's looking so great. Everyone's so open to the idea that they can use functional mushrooms to help them heal and fix their bodies. And then also not just the functional aspect, but also the ecological applications of fungi like the Myco Materials and bioremediation. So then we started thinking about, okay, how can we educate not just like the public at large, but also students and the new generation. So we recently did a couple of workshops at IB, or El Dorado, for the International Baccalaureate program. And we also went to a couple middle schools here, like Sunridge Middle School, and we did a workshop there. So it's been super cool coming back to our hometown and just educating everyone on essentially what we're so passionate about, and people being super receptive. Like, I low-key thought that when I mentioned mushrooms to any of these schools, they were going to immediately reject us and be like, no, we don't want you to teach that here. But they were surprisingly super open that we were going to teach people and kids, not just people like adults, but teach kids about what fungi can do. So that was really awesome.
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I could really touch base on that second pillar, which was just bringing all this back home to where we were born and raised, and then also like Austin, like we mentioned. But just to add to actually the schools that we've taught at, we're going to go do Vista del Sol on Wednesday. Actually, they have an environmental science academy there.
Nice.
Unfortunately, Christian Torres, I think one of like the directors or something there, he ended up following us on Instagram, so we reached out, and we're going to be educating for the first time elementary students.
Yeah.
But if there's any teachers
It's awesome.
or administrators watching this, hit us up. We'd love to
I
teach
know, right?
the youth about the benefits of mushrooms.
One of the things on the website says that you guys are tailoring, the development of this to El Paso's needs? How do you explain that? What is El Paso's needs compared to the region that you know, kind of started this at, like the California region? How does
Yeah.
that differ? Does it?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a huge lack of education here. So we're definitely being very strong with our education here, which is why we're doing schools,
Yeah.
why we're doing elementaries, why we're hosting more and more events here, is to raise awareness that the fact that these functional mushrooms exist and that there's actually research going on. I think what we're also starting to expand to is workshops in Spanish, because a lot of people who live on the borderland are Hispanic and speak Spanish, and that's something we've kind of lacked, is lack of, Spanish workshops. So I definitely think that's something me and Max have talked about going forward, is maybe even doing some workshops in Juarez, or maybe even just expanding our Spanish workshops to include women and men who only speak Spanish.
Yeah, for sure. With the farm, farms take time. Everything takes time to grow. How does a mushroom farm work? Is it outdoors, or is it more of an indoor process?
So it can be outdoors or indoors, but right now, like the most efficient way at scale and like on a commercial standpoint would be indoors.
Yeah.
So that's how we have our farm set up. It's indoor grow tents.
Oh, okay.
That's
gotcha.
like the best way for us to kind of keep the climate controlled, and all the variables and factors like temperature and humidity, and like light schedules and stuff like that. Just keep it dialed in with these indoor grows. But yeah, that's usually how it works. Fortunately, mushrooms need very little water, very little space compared to like other crops or produce.
Right.
So yeah, they're very like efficient, or like resource efficient in a way.
Yeah.
Do you put these in a pot the same way you would almost any other thing, or what are you growing this in? Like, how does it come about?
Yeah, there's actually so many different ways to grow mushrooms. We're doing bag tech, so we're growing mushrooms out of a bag. So we have grain and soil, and we mix those together. And the grain usually has the genetics or the species of the mushrooms that we want to grow. So we mix the genetics and the soil together, and then we put it in a bag, and we just wait for it to colonize, which is what it turns into, this thing called mycelium, which is the underground network of interconnections that's underneath every single plant. But yeah, we wait till it's fully colonized with that white stuff, which is called mycelium, and then we cut open the bags and we watch them grow. It's a pretty easy process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what sort of length of time is that? I mean, I'm sure it depends, right, on what you're growing, but
Yeah.
Right.
is there an average or anything?
Yeah, on the species it definitely differs, but for most of these gourmet functional mushrooms, it's about a month, maybe upwards to 2 months, but it's a very fast process in a way when you compare it to, like I mentioned, other crops or even
Yeah.
cannabis.
Yeah.
Cannabis could be,
Oh,
like half
yeah,
a year,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
mushrooms, it's really cool because like a month, if they're fast and aggressive colonizers, you'll have fresh mushrooms already.
Can you predict how it's gonna like grow based on what it is, or sometimes will they grow randomly? Because I've seen and I've done like just some little scanning of it, and I feel like mushrooms and fungi as a whole are just so on their own terms. So I mean, can you, back to the question? Can you kind of predict how it's gonna grow? I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there's like a general baseline or idea of kind of how the mushrooms are going to come out, but sometimes, like you said, they're just like do some really weird, wonky stuff,
Yeah.
like they'll just kind of surprise you in a way.
Yeah, but usually if you have the certain species, so let's say you're growing lion's mane mushrooms,
Yeah.
only those will fruit. But a lot of mycologists are starting to test
Like hybrid.
species, so they could
Yeah.
combine two different mushrooms and see if it'll grow. But that's super difficult to do.
Yeah.
But usually they'll just grow the species that you want or that you have.
Is it difficult because it's delicate, or just it's like uncharted territory still?
Sorry.
They have these things that are super microscopic called spores, which is
Oh,
how
yeah,
mushrooms reproduce. So they're extremely hard to like get to reproduce with other types of species, which is why a lot of these like people who are trying to make these crazy strains of psychedelic mushrooms it's intense. It's super tough and difficult because you have to be like a hardcore microbiologist to be able to switch
for
up the
real?
genetic code.
Definitely delicate, like you mentioned, or just sporadic in a way. Yeah, they'll try to fight each other sometimes when they're like colonizing like one spore wants to take over the other in a way. So it's really hard to find that harmony when they end up kind of interconnecting and then creating a new strain of mushroom. And when that does happen, at first you'll also get a lot of mutants. So you kind of want to like do it over and over and over again till you get like a clean new hybrid genetic.
Man, you're really investing a lot when you're crossbreeding like that, then, huh? Because
For
how many
sure.
times you can get it wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you know you get it wrong? Like, do you taste it or test it, or is there
It
ways
just
to
won't
test
grow.
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll just grow that one species of mushrooms, but when you put them, like hybridize them or put them together, they'll grow some crazy. They'll be like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Yeah, visually you'll see like if it's working or not working, but we personally haven't even like gone into that territory.
No.
But like some people we've worked with, mycologists have
For
for many years, and
yeah.
they're
Like
incredible.
7-8 years
Yeah.
working with like just one genetic, trying to change it with two. It's crazy.
What territory would you guys say that you're currently in? And I guess what I mean by that is, moving forward, like what are your guys' immediate steps on what you personally want to learn more about? What you want to research? Is it crossbreeding the strains, or is there something else that you guys would like to focus on?
I think personally for me, it is like mycelial biotechnology, so fungal biotechnology. So what can fungi and just mushrooms do for our environment that could help our devastating environmental issue? And I think something like this is super awesome that I'm working on. You know, this is my own prototype.
Yeah.
But I'm also super invested in psychedelic legality. So like psilocybin for people who are struggling with PTSD, migraines, anxiety, depression. There's actually a bill passed here in Texas called the House Bill 1802. And it allows universities like UT Del Medical, Baylor University to research psilocybin for certain illnesses. So it's super cool that that came out, and that's what I'm also super invested is mycelial biotechnology and psilocybin, you know, legality and just legislation. Yeah.
Yeah. How much of that is like having to learn about the like legal stuff as well?
Yeah, we have a buddy up in Austin who works at the Capitol. His name is Logan Davidson, and he runs this company or organization called Texans for Greater Mental Health. So he's been a huge, you know, support of legalization. He actually helped with the writing of that House bill and just like analyzing new bills that are coming forward. But definitely it takes a lot. I think the biotechnology is a lot more research into making certain textures, and they're making clothing out of it. Like Cadillac just released their newest Soleil car, and it has mushroom material in the interior. So that was just super impressive, and I'm like, definitely that's like an area of research that requires a lot of technical biology. So that's definitely what I want to do moving forward is psilocybin legality and biotechnology.
When making these, would you consider these the first steps of learning about this, and then it just gets way deeper than that? Like,
definitely, yeah. This is kind of like the top part of like this deep iceberg of what Myco Materials can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, this packaging is like super surface level, but then you go into leather, like imitating leather with fungi and different types of
insulation.
Yeah, insulation too.
True. Yeah, for sure, huh?
Yeah, that's something that he's been wanting to do a lot too, insulation with mycelium, because it's also super detrimental to our environment when insulation is no longer used, or when buildings are no longer used. They're just thrown away. They harm the environment. They don't degrade over time. But with things like mycelium, they'll degrade over time. They're biodegradable, compostable, eco-friendly. But that's cool. You should talk a little bit more about the insulation.
Yeah, I think like looking forward, it's kind of very in line and aligned with like what you just brought up, but definitely the materials aspect of it, and yeah, like she said, insulation, utilizing these materials not only for packaging but just for, you know, building and construction materials, and excuse me, making them more sustainable in a way. And they're really cool. They have great properties. They're just like naturally thermal insulators. They're class A fire retardant, so up to 900 Celsius it will be okay. We've got lighters and charred it up. Like we made an ashtray out of mycelium, and we'll put out our joints in there, and like no problem, you know. And then they're also naturally acoustic insulators. So like this acoustic paneling you have up here, like we could make custom mycelium ones for you and it'll work just as good.
Yeah.
Like no problem. So I'm very fascinated with these building and construction materials, using mycelium for that, and then also beyond psilocybin legality, just researching specifically how psilocybin affects our brain for different illnesses. And to go even more specific, just microdosing. I really, really, really want to dial in from a scientific perspective, how does microdosing help people for different things, and at what dose and what strain will it help, a certain illness in a certain person, because it's so unique to every person's experience, whether it's depression, anxiety. The dude I was talking to earlier today, Justin, he's helped people with fibromyalgia. So, a range of many different things can be helped with psilocybin mushrooms, but it's just dialing in how, at what dosage, and what strain and which people and stuff like that.
When you're microdosing, and you talk about dialing in the dosage, when it's already at such a small dosage, how much of a range could that possibly even be? You know what I mean? It's already small. So how diverse can somebody's experience be with it in terms of dosage? Like, I don't know if there's an exact answer, but how do you go about that dialing in process?
Right. Wow,
it takes time to kind of feel the effects of it, right? It's not one of those things where you just
absolutely
take a quarter gram of a shroom and you're good. You're woke. It's you feel it after weeks of using it, right?
Yeah, that's an incredible question, by the way. And I would say a lot of self-reflection and journaling would have to go into that process, and over a long period, just like you said, several weeks and several months. So sometimes dialing in, this is anecdotal, I've never done this personally, but I've just heard other researchers, but like to dial in a certain dosage or strain, they'll have to work with an individual for several months, maybe several years even, just to figure out what works best for that person. But once you figure it out, you can kind of work with that dosage, strain, and protocol for a good amount of time. And
it's not always just like you just eat a shroom, and sometimes it could be maybe you put it in your tea or stuff like that, right?
Right.
Does that also have a big factor, or is that really just up to preference at that point?
Yeah, there's so many different ways to consume mushrooms, and sometimes they will become more bioavailable if you do take them, let's say in an edible, versus if you take them. I think sometimes teas, if it's like too hot, or if you bake the mushroom too much, let's say when you're dehydrating them, it will affect the potency of the mushroom. So yeah, definitely many different ways to take it. And if you heat it up too high, it will kill those compounds that are so bioavailable for us to consume. But yeah, if you want to add anything else?
Just many different ways to consume it, and I think it will affect it. So the best way would to be just taking like dried up powder, like a capsule, or like a whole mushroom with just water,
or dehydrated mushroom
with just some water, or like the most common, they call it lemon tech, just like putting it in a cup with lemon juice, and the lemon breaks down the chitin, which is like the cell wall, and basically it makes it more bioavailable. So when you ingest the mushroom, instead of taking an hour to 2 hours for you to feel effects, it'll take 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with lemon juice.
I've been so interested in with microdosing. My experiences have always been recreational doses, and it was funny because David and I were talking about it earlier, and we were just like, what is it that we've been wanting to ask? We're just pondering over it, and it's funny because I've always wanted to see if there's a solution, but if maybe there's not, there's not. But I guess in your guys' experience of it all, considering it's fungi, is there any suggestions or any advice on overcoming nausea when you're like starting to feel the effects of it? Or is that just like, sorry, that's just how the cards fell for you?
There are certain strains of psilocybin that don't cause nausea.
Oh, really?
But it's really interesting. That's also another really interesting aspect of fungi and researching fungi is all different types of psychedelic mushrooms have different effects. So like penis envy versus albino, like one is more emotional versus one is more bodily high. So I think there definitely needs to be more research done on what strain causes what effect. And there is a lot of research being done currently. But definitely some mushrooms species really have, I think it's either the chitin, which I think causes, or chitin, which causes that nausea, which is the plant
Right.
cell wall that he was saying. So
Okay.
that's like super hard for our body to digest. So sometimes with mushrooms that don't have as much chitin, it's easier for us to
Okay.
digest, so we're not as nauseous. So
So there
yeah.
might be something directly linked to it.
Yeah, no, there
Okay.
definitely is, like, depending on the species,
Yeah.
it will make you more bodily high or nauseous versus other species will just make you more emotionally high.
I think that's the one that we had with Austin City Limits, because there was a walk from one stage to the next and I was just crying.
Oh.
Like I was just feeling everything all at once, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, this is insane. People were asking if I was alright. I'm like, I'm more than alright. Like I'm feeling everything all at once right now. And it was ape. It was.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
ape is
albino penis
incredible.
envy.
Yeah.
Oh,
it took me forever to
boy.
realize it was an acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it made sense because the other strain that was available was without the albino, so it was just penis envy, and it was just one of those two that we could have picked. We picked the ape.
Oh, yeah.
Very blue.
Yeah.
Very
Definitely
blue.
Albino.
very emotional.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time. But it was a good time, and it was fun, and I feel like that was one of the lightest, like transitions of nausea that I had experienced. It was kind of quick and easy going, and then it was ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah, usually that's how it is, kind of just a little turbulent at the beginning, and then
It's a good word.
once
for
you
it.
overcome
Wow.
that, it's very can be very smooth sailing.
Mhm.
But it's interesting that you asked that right after the lemon tech method. But the lemon tech method is supposed to actually help that nausea.
Yeah.
So trying
breaks
trying
down
it
for you before you even.
exactly
Yes.
instead of your digestive system having to break it down, it's already broken down and it's supposed to go down a lot smoother.
Would it be the same with like orange juice? Is it like just very citrusy, acidic like drinks essentially?
I
Never heard
don't.
it with orange juice.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So that would be very interesting to test. But what's very commonly known is just lemon juice.
Kind of playing into the emotion part of it all. How much does your mind state play, and like where you are emotionally? Do you believe, at least, or how much of it does it affect? The experience that you'll have with psilocybin mushrooms. Like if you had a bad day, are these gonna go ahead and help uplift you, or do you think it can honestly like lead to a more like bad trip? You know what I mean? Because they're possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it'll amplify where your head is at.
Okay.
So I always tell people that, and always tell them set and setting is everything.
You don't think it could change course of mindset?
I think if you have that intention, it can
Okay.
be possible.
Got you.
But I wouldn't say that it would be entirely likely, just because, maybe you're having a bad day and you have the intention, I'm going to consume this mushroom to change my day to be a good day, to change my mentality to be a good mentality, but it might work out that way and it might not. So, it could be a little dicey with those types of situations, but if you're already feeling like super good, you're on a high horse, I think it'll definitely just amplify that and continue to uplift you. So definitely any experience going into it, you want to have like a good set and setting mentally, physically, spiritually, so to
Yeah.
speak, of your
I
spiritual.
definitely think the set and setting is also super important whenever you're taking any mushrooms. Is like, where are you going to be at? With who are you going to be at? And if you're in the totally
company,
wrong
sure.
environment and with the wrong people, yeah, definitely bad trips can happen. And I think a lot of people get scared because they take them in settings that they're not supposed to. It's a medicine, it's not just like,
It's not full blown like recreational.
yeah, no,
Right.
at all. It's definitely a medicine and it should be used and, respected as that as
Yeah.
well. But I definitely think using it for a quick, like, maybe this will make me feel better isn't the best. Like, I definitely think, like he mentioned, the intention, like,
It's a commitment.
the set and setting,
Something you gotta
right.
feel
It's
for,
like a
8
couple
hours,
hour
yeah.
commitment.
Or less than 8.
Very
maybe.
powerful.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad we're touching base on this, just because this is something that people sometimes have that educational gap or awareness gap, is just like thinking it's going to be like a very fun, happy, uplifting like experience all the time.
Which it can be.
Yeah, but
Which it
it's
can
also
be.
super vulnerable.
But it could be
break you down too.
intense, extremely
Yeah.
intense, extremely rough and
Yeah, for sure.
and hard. So knowing, these things. It's called harm reduction in this space. Harm reduction, trying to reduce as much harm that these substances create as possible
Yeah.
by understanding these things like, setting.
How to use them properly. Yeah.
What are some of the examples that you've had where you're kind of being shown how to maybe use it properly? Like, for the most part, people, when they do shrooms, it's sort of, what you've heard before and everything. But have you all ever had the experience of having, I think they're called, where like a shaman kind of leads you? And they're sort of, I forget what they're called, but they're like group experiences.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
guided
ceremonies.
sessions.
Oh, okay, ceremonies? Is that a proper word for it?
Yeah,
that's
ceremony.
what.
Have you had a chance to experience anything such as that?
We've never directly been guided by a shaman, but we've been invited many, many times. I definitely think I've done a lot of research into the medicine to be able to take it on my own and when I definitely think I need it. But no, I haven't actually. Have you? Haven't?
No, yeah, me either. I've never
had a
guided or ceremonial experience, which I really would look forward to having one day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing is I'm not always jumping into experiences. I take these powerful substances as I feel I need to. So yeah, as we've been offered, but we've never just felt like that was something we necessarily had to or wanted to or needed to do in that moment of time.
In a more popular phrase, it hasn't found you yet.
Hasn't
Exactly.
found us yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah, we've been doing a bunch of our own inner work with our own psychedelics, but we've been invited to a lot of ayahuasca and peyote retreats, actually.
Okay, yeah,
More
yeah,
ayahuasca, peyote ceremonies, and I think that hasn't found us yet either.
Okay.
But it's there. The opportunity's there.
What are your guys' opinions on stuff like that? Stuff that, like, psychedelics that aren't necessarily mushrooms? Or like in the,
Different types of plant medicines.
yeah, those aren't in the fungi realm, right?
No, they're considered, like, some of them are considered classic psychedelics, which is just like things like LSD, ayahuasca, DMT, psilocybin. I have heard a lot of positive things, but I've also heard a lot of negative things.
More negative in a way that's different from the negatives that you've heard of mushrooms?
I think negative in that, like, I was a completely different person. Like, some people have died off of ayahuasca before because they didn't take it properly. So I definitely think when you step into realms like ayahuasca, you need a guide for that. You can't just take ayahuasca. Like, you can take mushrooms or psilocybin. But yeah, with harder psychedelics like that, I definitely think they need to be guided. And I wouldn't recommend anyone just taking them on their own.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say I'm very supportive of these psychedelics just because there's also like research going on behind their potential benefits and hazards. But I'm always just weary and kind of looking to the literature, like scientific literature, to see, I guess what is possibly good about them or possibly bad about them. But I haven't personally tried any of the other psychedelics, but like Aixa said, we've been around a lot of people and friends who have had incredibly profound, life-changing in a positive way experiences, and then also people who had bad experiences.
Yeah.
For sure. With microdosing. What are your guys' personal experiences in terms of the long-term benefits that I'm clearly assuming that you all have had your own microdosing experiences and journeys, and so I'd be asking, what are some of the long-term benefits and sort of changes that you've seen over time? It's a lot of it is brain functionality, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, brain functionality, and I would say behavioral changes have been most, I guess, just prominent. So for me, for an example, would be like, let's say, sugar cravings or like junk food cravings. That's something that I like try to work on a lot within my lifestyle. So when I microdose and when I've been very consistent with it, I've been able to just be more, I guess, in my own shoes and just be strong about like my dietary habits and stuff like that. So from a behavioral standpoint, I feel like I've been more in line with what I truly want for my behaviors, not falling off like certain, like a diet or cravings or stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's just like an example. And like a more I guess like deep answer would be it's helped me a lot with like my ADD. So I used to be prescribed Ritalin and Adderall and stuff like that. Like the beginning of college, I used to take it, and it didn't make me feel good. The come down was always really bad. There was a time where it did help me a lot, but then there was a time where it kind of just stopped working for me. And that's kind of when I got into microdosing. And I was able to come off this pharmaceutical medicine. I was able to consistently microdose for some time and have improved focus, be able to wake up early, be organized, go to class because I was missing class at UTEP all the time, or I was just showing up super late. But I was just kind of like, more just like on top of it, I guess, in a way. And then the beautiful thing about microdosing and taking mushrooms is it's not like a pharmaceutical medicine where you have to take it forever. You can take it for 3 months, reroute your behavior, and kind of make that your new life. You can kind of now live in that way and not have to be reliant and dependent on this natural medicine, which I think is very profound, as opposed to conventional medicines. You have to take them forever. If you don't take them, there's side effects. If you take them, there's side effects. Like,
yeah. Man, I haven't heard anyone kind of put it in a way of something like rerouting your diet habits. A lot of the time it's the emphasis is on like depression and stuff like that, but it's that was a little bit eye-opening to me, because there's a lot of dietary changes I'd love to make. Not to say that I'm going to go and rely on a microdosing journey, but to know that like it can really be beneficial in just ways that are very niche,
Right.
in a sense. But aside from successfully rerouting your habits, I mean, if it does the benefit for you, and if there's not necessarily side effects for staying on it, what's the motivation to get off? Like, why stop? Like, why not just keep it going?
You don't need to stop. You can keep on going for as long as you like. I think sometimes people just don't like having to take something every single day.
Like you said earlier, not being reliant on it.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I had a microdose journey. The very first time I microdosed, I did 2 weeks, and I did 3 days on, 2 days off. So, and it was like a 0.2, so which is very, very minimal, super subperceptual. And like he mentioned, it was a lot of kind of dietary changes and just lifestyle changes. So I take it as soon as I wake up, and I'd go running in the morning. I feel super like happy, uplifted. Like I'd be listening to podcasts on like self improvement and like manifestation of reality. And it was actually during those 2 weeks, the first time I ever did microdosing psilocybin, that I met Omar, the owner of the mushroom shop. So honestly, that like 2 weeks of microdosing really like started my journey into the company and into starting what I really loved. And I honestly owe it up to those do you remember when I was telling you that like that microdosing journey that really propelled me to like pursue what I wanted? I was like, you know what, I can actually do this. Like I can actually turn my passion into income.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely propelled
like,
me.
opened the door.
It did.
See the opportunity right through it.
Yeah, it motivated me a lot, definitely. Like it pushed me to do what I really wanted versus not like just staying like in the shadows, being like, I don't know if it will work. I don't know if I really want to do this. But yeah, definitely cleared a way for me, and I really owe it up to those 2 weeks of microdosing, for real.
Do you feel like that the way you said, rather than being, I guess, shaky about your decisions, was that the motivation to microdose, or was something else kind of going on in order?
Yeah, I had learned about the benefits, and that it improves focus and cognition, and it has these compounds called beta glucans, which stimulate our nerve growth factor. So in a sense, it makes us able to learn things faster, able to improve our speed, our cognition. It's been used for, treatment for dementia and Alzheimer's. So I definitely knew there was going to be some benefits, but it just blew me away when I actually did the work and took them and had my intention of using it to grow. And yeah, it did everything that I thought it would. So yeah, it was perfect. Microdosing.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, not really, but it's been around for a minute.
It's been around for centuries.
More than 1 minute. Being here in El Paso, but also being in an indoor grow right now, do you guys kind of just have the freedom to choose whatever you want, or is there stuff that you honestly can't really grow in El Paso? Like it only grows like in really wet climates or something like that?
I would say so far we kind of have the freedom to grow whatever that other people are already growing. There's some species that people haven't been able to domesticate,
Oh, okay.
which in a way just like replicate its natural environmental conditions.
Yeah.
But all the species that so far has been domesticated and has been proven to grow in XYZ environment, you can kind of just, automate your grow chamber to do that. But we primarily focus right now on lion's mane mushroom, which is a mushroom you can find at Sprouts, Whole Foods. You can find supplements online, and then soon we're gonna go into other gourmet and functional mushrooms like oyster mushrooms, and then we've been able to just keep the environmental conditions on point. Fortunately, they grow in very very high humid environments, so we got to keep it at like 90+%.
Walk in, just sweaty.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
literally like you open it up and like it's just pouring out like fog. Like
Oh man. How was like? So have you heard of the term white whale? Have you ever heard it get used or anything like
I
that?
feel like I've
whale?
It might not
heard
even
of
be a
it.
real term, but we've made it a real term for sure. So in case you
No.
haven't, then, because I mean, if it's not a real thing, then it doesn't matter what you're about to say. 'Cause it's not a real thing. We describe white whale as like, especially in midnight sessions when we're like, oh, if we can get that artist, like we're just trying to catch like our like That's the fisher though, right? That's not the whale, or is Moby Dick the name of the whale?
I think Moby Dick's the name of the whale.
Okay, let's do that then. Like that's what it is. So, is there like a white whale of yours of like something that you would love to grow and just successfully harvest?
I think I would love to grow this certain Ukrainian species called Veralaceous. I'm not really sure the scientific name, but it's from Ukraine and it's a purple mushroom. And it can actually digest crude oil and other toxic oils in the environment. It turns the hydrocarbons into carbohydrates, so it actually uses it for food. And that's like a mushroom that I've been really, really wanting to cultivate because I could use it for research in like oil spills and things like that and remediate contaminated sites. But we don't really have access to it because it's in Ukraine and it's
Yeah.
so rare. But one of our friends up in California in Pasadena, she did this research using that specific purple mushroom and cleaned up a contaminated site. So definitely that's a mushroom I'd really want to grow, but I don't have the resources right now.
It's the white whale.
It's the white whale.
That's why.
I need like a Ukrainian like insider
Plug.
that could get me the mushroom. Yeah. What about you?
I would just say honestly that what comes to mind is any and all strains of psychedelic mushrooms. I know exactly. I know how to grow them, but just being in El Paso, we're just operating within legal framework and just
Yeah.
mainly doing this farm right now for like to give people fresh produce and also supplements grown locally. But if Texas or El Paso ever opens up to a medical or even just any legal framework, like we would 100% add that to the farm growing just like
Dude, imagine
mushrooms.
that. Where right now can you technically do that? I know Denver.
Hmm.
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah, so Colorado as a state and
That's all the state. Okay.
the whole state, yeah, they legalized mushroom therapy, and so did Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like a state regulated program. So basically, the clinics you go to and the people you see, it's all housed under like the state, basically, kind of like a state funded program. But those two states, and then there's plenty of counties across the U.S. that have decriminalized. So Humboldt County in Northern California is one
Oakland.
of them. Oakland, San Francisco, Santa Cruz, Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Canada actually just legalized psilocybin, like magic mushrooms medicinally for like medical purpose. So that was really cool. And
It's big.
they said that you like people who are certified can also grow their own medicine. So Canada's definitely way ahead in terms of like psychedelic legality and
Detroit.
psilocybin growing. Oh yeah, Detroit as well.
Yeah, places in
Wow.
Michigan, and then I know New Mexico is working on some
Yeah.
bills right now to get a framework going, and I've been
Very
very
excited.
excited and interested to
Sure.
see, what comes with that, because there's been some pitfalls, but tons of success in my eyes with
Right.
the cannabis program in New Mexico. So if they were able to open up to legal access to mushrooms, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, as you guys build up the farm here, are your plans to as it starts to get on its own 2 feet and everything? Are your plans to go back to California?
Yeah, so we're currently based out of there. So
Okay.
majority of our events are in Northern and Southern
On the
California.
Mycelium Matters
On
side,
the
right?
Mycelium
Let's talk
Matters
about it.
side.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll definitely be visiting here often. I mean, we visit here maybe multiple times a year, like
Okay.
every couple of months. So honestly, opening up a mushroom farm here was like one of the best things we could do because when we come back to visit our family, we also have this beautiful farm waiting for us and
Yeah.
amazing people who are interested. And yeah, I definitely think we're going to be spending a lot more time here. We just applied for a grant from the USDA.
Ooh, nice.
It's called a value added producer grant. So we'd be adding value to the borderland with the newest product, which is mushroom supplements and capsules, because they're not really affordable here in stores. They're like $40, $50 for a month's supply. We charge 20, 25. So definitely providing accessible, affordable mushrooms to the borderland is something that we definitely want to keep on doing. So we'll be here more often. And if we get the grant, I think we'll definitely be here for a couple months, getting the mushroom farm even bigger than it is right now. But yeah, we're currently based over there. I'm actually gonna transfer to UC San Diego next fall, so I'm gonna have to be over there for school.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Is that because of the degree that you're pursuing, the education that you're pursuing?
yeah, so I wanted to get a major in psychology and a minor in mycology, which
Okay.
is just the study of mushrooms. But yeah, that's what I'm currently working on. It's my
Yeah, and
career.
I'm also in school right now in California, pursuing a psychology degree. I was at UTEP, started at UTEP with pursuing economics,
Okay.
and then kind of when we started this business, I transferred over to Santa Monica College, where we're currently at, and started pursuing psychology. I just think the California institutions are already, researching and studying and speaking, educating about psychedelics and mushrooms for
Yeah.
therapy. So I like, yeah, have to be there right now.
That's cool. I feel like I don't know. I mean, I love my time at UTEP, but there's something cool about knowing, you need to go somewhere else in order to learn about what you're learning. There's something forward about it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely.
Does that come across in your guys' mind as you're making that decision?
I feel like it
Like
just.
in like a I'm proud of that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely. I guess for me it's to be just like at the forefront of what's happening, so I'm not. Um, so I can just be very as educated and knowledgeable as I can with what's happening. UT Austin is studying that, so that would actually studying psychedelics, so that would be like another incredible school to go to. But I think they're doing that from like a graduate perspective. So
Oh, yeah,
after you
yeah.
do your undergraduate, but just California is already teaching this. Your first psychology classes you're taking, your professor will probably cover psychedelics. So
Ooh.
But I think it's cool that we get to come back and educate, teachers as well. One of
Yeah,
our
definitely.
our friends is on the board of a school board, and I have a couple friends who are teachers, so it's really cool to just come back and educate them because I know that if I spark something in them, they're going to go educate their, classroom and students and stuff. But I really hope I really want to start a class or a workshop at UTEP because we had gone not that long ago and they had Myco Materials on display.
Yeah.
So there's definitely knowledge on the biotechnology side of fungi, but I definitely want to see what we can do at UTEP and get more of the teachers and more of the students learning about, fungi, especially the environmental sector. I think
Yeah.
they'd definitely be really interested and excited for, the applications of fungi for our environment.
How has that process been on the like? This is the side of the business where it's not all about diving into your passion and research. It's kind of applying business strategy and learning how to teach and educate. What's been that experience like owning the business itself outside of like the what it is? How's it been being entrepreneurs throughout this time?
I think I'm so I know people are supposed to say you have to have your work-life balance. I feel like that's completely meshed in together and I'm so happy because it's truly what I'm passionate about. I feel like it's the business is just an extension of what I'm passionate about. So it's really cool that my work isn't work to me. It's more like my passion and what I really get out of life. It just gets me, you know? It just,
The work is our life.
yeah, I don't know if that's the same for you.
Yeah, 100%. I grew up wanting to be an entrepreneur and had started many ventures before this, just, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what would stick.
Yeah.
Starting with a CBD oil company when I was like 17. I started Blossom CBD, selling CBD to Coffee Box here, putting it in their drinks and stuff.
Oh, nice, dude.
And then after that, I wasn't the best entrepreneur at the time because I didn't reinvest into the business, so I didn't keep going. But
Man.
after that, got into just like producing live events here in El Paso, so across from Silo Vista for some time, and then downtown where Fallas is, Fallas Paredes, just like hosting rock shows, indie shows with like local like high school bands, and that worked out. That was like super dope to go through.
What did it go by?
years.
What was the?
We were Lotus Entertainment.
I think I might have heard of that. What time frame is this?
This was 2019
Yeah.
We're barely getting into the scene at this time. Maybe not.
to 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was with my best friend Albert Galarza. We started Lotus Entertainment. Started with a warehouse across Silo Vista, and then COVID happened, lost the lease, and then our friend got another place downtown, like I was saying, near Fallas Paredes, called The Circle. And then we did like a couple indie fests there. We did like a haunted house in October, like in the basement. It was really cool. We were just doing like, events, and I think that also has worked out with what we do now is hosting events. But going back to your question, just like being an entrepreneur, I mean, it's been incredible. I love it. I think I'm the most I've learned so much on this journey as I just grow older and meet more people and network more and have more experiences. Like I've just been learning a lot, feeling good about it.
Yeah, I really like the way that you had put it about how we're supposed to have work-life balance.
Yeah.
But I've been talking about that for like a minute now, and I've been saying I don't think it's supposed to be like that actually, because what one person's work-life balance is another person's like, nah, you're compartmentalizing. Like for 8 hours a day, you become somebody different.
Yeah.
And you have to like, I'd rather not. I'd rather have the way I've been wording it is, I like the way that my life is just entirely in harmony with itself. Like all of my decisions influence, what's going on here. So I don't feel like I'm getting pulled in different directions. Yeah. Everything's all aligned to even like recreational things that I like to do. The time that I make to have fun and like just cool off for a bit, that's all intended to push me forward here rather than pull me away for a bit from like what I'm doing as an income or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I really agree with the way you worded that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that work-life balance.
I know, right?
That's beautiful how you put it too, just like being in harmony.
Yeah, everything is just all like working together as one.
I think that's one of the coolest things of being an entrepreneur, and like why I also quit my 9-to-5 when we started this company, because I was so tired of just like having, like what you said, having to be this person for like 8 hours a day, like having to be like, yeah, I'm a therapist, like, yeah, like, nice to meet you, and then being, into the mushroom space, I'm totally myself. Like, I don't ever have to be somebody else, which is how you should be, Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really like that. Entrepreneurship is really cool, and it really inspires you to just see what you're capable of and what you can do, and how your passions can, create an income and keep you afloat.
It's probably like the ultimate test of, do I really love this shit? You know what I mean? Like, am I really about this, or was this just like a phase? And so, definitely, it does. It tests your passions a lot. Yeah. 'Cause I'm sure there's been times, maybe not, but have there been moments of frustration with this project?
I think the only moment of frustration is when it comes to just like finances. Like, I want to work with every type of mushroom business, but I don't want to charge them, but I kind of have to charge them for sponsorship if I'm trying to like make this event happen and I'm trying to make an income. So I think for me, I just want everything to be free. I hate this idea of money and that things cost money. And I think that's the biggest kind of hurdle I've had to go over, is because, money runs the world. That's how it keeps on going, and how it keeps afloat, you know, and just like circulates our economy. So I think definitely if everything could be free, I would definitely do that. If I could have sponsors sponsor us for free and host events for free, I'd do it. But yeah, I think that's just the biggest hurdle. But it's cool because I know that it's paying off. My passion and my dedication and my time is being recognized. So yeah, I think that's a little struggle. I'm like, oh, I hate the idea of money. I hate the concept that, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, just
Struggle isn't tedious, but what has been your guys' results? Like, is it majority success when you guys are, talking to people about possible sponsorships? Because as a like, just a quick example, with the whole music community, it took us 5 years to get our sponsorship, and it's not the most, hey, here's money, but coming from a science background and coming from a more educational approach, have you guys had a pretty successful process so far, or do you
definitely.
think there's a lot of improvement that could be made?
I definitely think it's been a little overwhelming how many
Okay,
brands want
sure.
to work with us and us having to weed them out because some of them are Amanita muscaria, which is something that we don't really support. So sometimes brands will use fake mushrooms and be like, hey, can you pump this out to your audience? And we're like, no. And they're like, I'll give you this much money. And we're like, no, like
Just questionable products.
questionable products
'Cause,
are
yeah.
coming out because psilocybin is illegal, you know?
Yeah, and when a
Yeah.
when a company has resources, they like kind of like just want to pay their way into stuff, but there's like we definitely try to be mindful and holistic of how we approach who we work with.
Yeah.
But it's been very fruitful, fortunately, working with a bunch of different brands, different products, and I think just building relationships with these people has been what helped the most, like becoming friends with the people you work with,
Yeah.
or the people who sponsor you, building relationships with them, hanging out with them and partying with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have little after parties after our festivals just to celebrate, and
Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of psychedelics
it always
around.
brings us closer for
Yeah, I also think that the people who are in the mushroom industry are so awesome. Like we're all kind of rooting for the same goal and mission is to like more education, more awareness, more benefits of fungi, except for those little, you know, brands that are just in it for the money. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like something we really weed out is like, okay, who's really in it for the overall mission and purpose and versus who's in it for just the money. And they think it's like a fad that they're going to make millions off of. So yeah, we definitely weed those people out.
Yeah, like one of those companies called Diamond Shrooms, they were in the gray area market, so they were just putting bullshit or like selling bullshit. And
chemical filled.
since they were in the gray area loophole market, they supplied so many smoke shops, made millions in months, but it led to people having seizures and
Dying.
having
Health issues.
horrible health complications. So these are like companies we're always extremely
It's setting
weary
it's
of.
setting you and every other organization back as well, and all the
Yeah.
progress you're making.
Exactly,
Definitely.
it sets
demystify
back
all of this shit.
the industry, and that's our like third partner of Mycelium Matters, Omar Othman, who owns Culture Shrooms in Long Beach. He's an incredible friend and mentor of ours, but he, funny story, actually like had this conversation with the guy running this company.
Oh, wow.
Like before this happened, he's like,
Did they
dude,
throw
like,
down?
He
dude,
just said that he was gonna ruin the industry.
he's like, you'll single-handedly like fuck our industry up, and time goes by, and literally because of his
Oh, man.
product, there's people having seizures and health
Yeah, and they're
complications.
still in the smoke shop. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
If you see Diamond Shrooms, do
don't
not
buy
fuck
that
with them.
shit. Don't buy any smoke shop mushrooms. Like
That's what
learn
we
how to
do
grow
over
them
here
yourself.
live at MFHQ. We give you the proper warnings.
Yes.
That's well, yeah, thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
Just cuz yeah, I mean, like being here in El Paso and stuff, could you possibly get that in here, or like cuz I think you can get products now, right? But is it cuz they're not real? Is that why like you see some products floating around?
Yeah, so the
Psilocybin wise and everything like that.
psilocybin wise, no. The way they've kind of like it's crazy. The way they've kind of maneuvered around this is, like Exo was saying, they use Amanita muscaria, which is another type of mushroom, which is also psychoactive. So
Okay.
you'll have like some hallucinations, but because it's a different mushroom, it has different compounds.
Yeah.
So it works differently. Psilocybin mushrooms, the compound is psilocybin. Amanita mushrooms, the compound is muscimol.
And ibogaine.
And
Ibogaine.
this compound is toxic at a certain threshold. So like even though it's crazy that it's legal,
Yeah.
and because it's legal, I mean like people can sell it in smoke shops, or
Mhm.
like not legal, but it's not illegal, I
Yeah.
guess is the best way to put it. So
It's not regulated.
it's this gray area. So it's why they're able to get into the smoke shops and promote it as like a magic mushroom product,
Yeah.
but it's not the
not
real
real.
thing.
It's
It's
not
not
the
the
real
real deal.
Just like the
not
equivalent of
psilocybin.
when like spice was floating around.
Exactly,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's not
like
weed.
synthetic ass, like
Yeah.
fake weed.
And people can get seriously addicted or hurt or
Yeah.
yeah, like real psilocybin is non-addictive, but I don't think
And non-toxic
yeah, it's
too.
non-toxic, non-addictive. You could have like 100 grams of mushrooms and yeah, you'll come out completely different, but you
Yeah,
wont
yeah,
die.
yeah.
Versus the smoke shop mushrooms, like you'll die if you have 100
If you have
grams.
You
enough.
have the ride of your life though. Get out of that.
And comparable to the cannabinoids coming out too, like there's all these different cannabinoids, but it's not just delta 9 cannabis. Like it's
Yeah.
not just homegrown weed. It's like they're doing all this chemistry and stuff to synthesize and extract certain things that might have some benefits, but at the end of the day, like, do you really know what is going into your body?
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Is that a? It didn't seem like it was difficult for you to talk about that with diamond mushrooms, but
Yeah.
in the sense of like trying to combat these people who are kind of setting you guys back and making the mission a lot more difficult. Is this something that you feel like you're actively trying to do, or are you more focused on the mission at hand? And sometimes this stuff just kind of is like a reminder, like damn, like this is one of the hurdles that we got to do. You get what you get what I
For
mean? Like there's
sure.
people
Yeah.
who are like probably actively like
Yeah.
not trying to shut these dudes down.
Yeah.
What approach do you guys take?
I definitely think
Is there enough time to like dedicate to that?
I feel like yeah. I think one of the top things for us is education. Is
Oh, yeah, for sure.
educating as many people as we can that
that's
like do
included, too.
not take these mushrooms. If you need some mushrooms, like go to Colorado. It's not that far. Or, like go to this place. But definitely education is something we think could help.
Yeah.
Because
Okay. Yeah. For sure.
if it's coming from someone who knows what they're talking about, I think people are going to be more trustworthy. But no, not really. We haven't been like going and shutting down, CBD
Yeah, I
shops
get
or
what
stuff.
you're saying.
But I think legality could be another effort, like research legality and just regulation over those specific compounds in those capsules or gummies or whatever they're selling or chocolates. But that's a whole other ballpark. Regulation on Amanita.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to educate some elementary students. But what is
Yeah.
the current youngest that you have had a workshop with?
It was middle school.
6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Yeah. So
So when you're talking about this,
yeah.
how do you translate that to something that they can, comprehend? They've been in these programs for the schools and they've like been like learning about it to an extent, but when you guys come in and teach it, you gotta not in a bad way, but you dumb it down a little. I'm assuming
I think we make it really fun.
more interactive.
Like
Yeah.
super funny and
Okay.
like a lot of photos of like a dog with mushrooms, and so the little kids are like, oh my god, look, that's so funny. And it's actually funny that you mentioned that just after we were talking about psychedelics, because at both the middle school and the high school, these kids know about magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, we're talking about the magic ones? And I'm like, oh damn, like we have to educate the new generation as well, because they're going to be, interested in all types of drugs if they already know about it at 6th, 7th grade. So we definitely touched over it, and we just mentioned that they're being researched at schools.
I feel like naturally we've pretty much had like an offhands approach actually, like very very minimally, maybe 1 sentence 2 sentence graze it, but like the dynamic it's been with the teachers, it's been more like we haven't been told to not talk about it, but we kind of both mutually aren't there to talk about that, which we could be more proactive in educating about harm reduction, like these different
There you go, yeah.
substances.
Yeah.
But it's primarily been about like stuff like this, like Myco Materials and
Bioremediation.
fungi breaking down crude oil for oil spills and stuff like that, breaking down garbage because we have huge massive waste dumps. But
Landfills, yeah.
there should be definitely something organized for us to be able to come in and talk to these students about just what is out there, like what is good for you later in life when your brain is developed to do that, but also what is not good for you now and later in life, like, you know, these chocolate bars in the smoke shops. But yeah, we haven't been able to get too deep with these children. But I think we definitely should have like a time and place for that, because there is like sex education and drug
Oh, yeah.
education. So
Yeah. And also, you know, they know that magic mushrooms exist, but then they might go and assume, here comes the naivety where they think anything is just magic mushrooms, and then they take
Right.
something that's like,
Yeah.
nah. They take, what did you call it? The one that was not real? What was it?
Amanita?
Amanita, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
exactly.
That'd be terrible for
I
them.
know.
So,
Oh yeah, horrible.
Especially since it's toxic, and like when you're smaller, it like toxicity, you need less of it to harm
Yeah.
you.
let's talk about the lion's mane a little bit.
Absolutely.
It's the product that you guys have.
Yes.
What is the purpose of the capsules? What do they do over time or immediately? What's the process?
So, lion's mane mushroom and our capsules specifically are really, really there to just improve brain health and function. So, focus, memory, cognitive abilities. It's really supposed to enhance and improve these different areas of our brain.
Yeah, it has really amazing antioxidants too. So not only does it heal your brain, but it improves your immunity, improves your blood flow. And like I mentioned like earlier, those beta glucans are also in lion's mane that improve that nerve growth factor. So you can learn things quicker, you can have better focus, better clarity. Like I took some lion's mane not too long ago before a run with Run For It. I think you interviewed Thomas and
Those
Freddie.
are the boys.
Dude, yeah, they're the homies. But yeah, I took some lion's mane before the run, and I was super focused, super pumped. And I had never
nice.
taken lion's mane before I ran. I just never did that. But
in the form of like a capsule.
yeah, like in the form of a capsule, like for the intention being that I was going to run. I had never done that, but it was definitely super like boosting. Like I was like, damn, I'm gonna finish this super quick. But yeah, the majority of the benefits are brain related. So after a couple of weeks, you'll definitely feel more clarity. His dad calls them memory pills because they make him remember stuff more, and remember things about his childhood, which is kind of what psilocybin can do sometimes. So it's cool because when you stack psilocybin with lion's mane and niacin, you get crazy effects, more than just all of them by themselves when you stack.
Niacin is something that kind of like opens up the veins a bit, improves blood flow a lot more.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it more bioavailable. Makes
Okay.
the psilocybin and the lion's mane more bioavailable.
I just wanted to touch on, you mentioned nerve growth factor, which is something lion's mane promotes, and nerve growth factor is essentially just like the growth of new nerves and neuronal pathways in your brain. So literally making more connections in your brain when you're taking lion's mane, and even healing damaged neural pathways in your brain. So
Yeah.
it's incredible for your brain, and is even being studied and has been studied to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia, which is very important to me as well. Just having like a family member with dementia, like hopefully there can be something that can, if you know, I mean, it's not the answer and the key. It's going to be also diet and exercise, and sometimes it's genetics, but it can be, you know, a tool, something extra to help you out with.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna ask specifically about Alzheimer's specifically. What are some of like your favorite tests or studies that you've learned about that have shown actual results of learning things faster? Like what are those sort of things that they've...
There's actually a study that just came out last year, 2023, out of the University of Northumbria. And it actually studied lion's mane on human participants, which is really kind of rare because it's been studied on mice for the past centuries. But this study was on 41 human participants aged 18 to 41, I believe. And they gave them 1.8 grams of lion's mane. And the people who were in the pilot, it was a pilot study, the people who did take the lion's mane, they showed improved speed on tasks. So there's this thing called a Stroop test. And the Stroop test, it essentially puts the words of a color, but a different color. So red will actually be blue. So they were testing these participants to see if they could identify the correct color when it was spelled wrong or a different color, and the people who took lion's mane had more improved speed of performance when doing that task versus the other side of the study that didn't take lion's mane. And then they took the lion's mane for 28 days. So these people, after they took the lion's mane, they showed symptoms of reduced stress versus the other group had high levels of stress. So overall, the conclusion of the study was they improved speed of performance on the Stroop task, and then they had reduced stress after 28 days. So that was definitely really eye-opening to me when I was reading that study. I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, this is actually used on humans. But because the sample size was pretty low, I definitely think there needs to be more research on bigger sample size and more ages, not just 18 to 41, but maybe 21 to 60 or 21 to 80, or maybe just older demographic, or maybe a younger demographic like 14 to 18, because lion's mane it's a supplement. It's like a multi-daily vitamin, so kids should also be taking them if they want improved cognition or more focus. But yeah, that study was really eye-opening because it was one of the only human studies done, and it had really successful results in showing that lion's mane actually does what it said to do. But that's the study that I know and have been researching a lot. But do you have any studies you want to mention?
I would just say that same study,
yeah, 'cause
and
it is on humans.
You said it was last year?
It was last year out of
And
Northumbria. Yeah,
what's
University.
incredible about it, yeah, is just how recent it is. Because with like science and the academic world, is like the older studies are, like they're not as like not credible, but it's not as up to date information as studies that just came out literally a year ago. And I think a very important piece of that study too is that this test subjects took it for 28 days, which is something that is important and that we recommend when taking lion's mane or a mushroom supplement is like consistency for a couple weeks at least, because you know if you take it once you might or might not feel something, but the most profound benefits are when you're consistent. And I tell people it's just like, you know, other supplements too. Taking protein, you don't just take one protein scoop and you're like,
You don't just take a big old protein shake and not work out.
Yeah, like
You get big that way.
yeah, you got to take it for a prolonged period and then also put the other work in, and you'll get the results.
Yes, very true.
This one is a month supply. What is this? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So this is our standard bottle and product right now. It's a month's supply. It contains 40 capsules, but you take 2 a day.
Okay.
20 servings. The reason why it's not 30 is because you're only taking it 5 days a week.
Okay.
So just like Monday through Friday, you're going to take 2 capsules a day. Saturday, Sunday, you're off.
Or whatever way you choose to do
Or,
it.
you know, whatever, you know, if you want to take it, yeah, Tuesday to Sunday, however. But, and each serving size is a gram. So taking the 2 capsules together is a gram of lion's mane mushrooms, which is usually what's studied and
Close to
researched.
the study was 1.8, but 1 gram also shows a lot of
Yeah,
effects.
between like 1 and 2 grams is what you want to be taking. Anything under a gram might not be as beneficial, and it's not necessary to take anything over 2 grams.
Is that based on just general dose, or does like the weight of the person and all that play a lot into that as well? Or is it because it's more like brain function, it's not the same as something that, like, you know, how much blood alcohol you have, for instance?
Right. I think
That's a really interesting
body
question.
weight and composition or just like height will play a role, but within that 1 to 2 gram dose, that's pretty standard, and like will be beneficial for just about anyone.
I think there should be more research on whether or not the weight affects the dosage, because that wasn't included on this study. It was just the age.
Oh, okay.
So I
Yeah,
definitely
for sure.
think studying the weight, because I know with psilocybin, weight is factored in. So people who weigh more and are taller won't have to have a higher dose of psilocybin to feel the same effects as someone who's shorter or, you know,
Yeah.
thinner. But that's interesting with
And
lion's
like
mane.
even going internally too, it can be like how many neurotransmitters you have
Oh, yeah.
that can even
bind to
the compound, and every mushroom itself is different. Every mushroom has different compounds. So that's something that in the future we want to do with El Paso mushroom actually, is just test the amount of compounds that are in our mushrooms, so we could even have that transparency on our product. Kind of what you see with like dispensaries having like terpene profiles and stuff like that. We kind of just really want to be able to show the consumer like, yes, it's a gram of mushroom, but a gram of mushroom, and the compounds can vary per gram of mushroom.
Yeah.
So we want to show exactly, how many, that of the compound you're getting. With lion's mane specifically, it's erinacines. That's like the compound.
Mm-hmm.
Lion's mane. And you can essentially, like, I've seen, I have a very good friend that works with me at the dispensary. Shout out to my boy Josh. But he's a vegetarian, and he'll substitute lion's mane with a lot of just
beautiful.
traditional
Yeah,
foods.
that's amazing. I'm vegan, so shout out to your friend.
Oh,
bro.
he still does dairy, so I think it's vegan.
Yeah,
I'm not
no, he's
sure.
vegetarian. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I'm vegan. Yeah,
So no dairy.
No dairy. I
Okay.
definitely think I'm really glad you brought that up because that's something I kind of wanted to talk about is just how energy efficient mushrooms are and mushroom farmings are and how many nutrients they have. They're super packed with, proteins and potassiums and iron and different types of antioxidants and nutrients that our body needs versus like animal agriculture, like dairy farming, cattle farming. It's super resource intensive. Like a pound of meat is like thousands of gallons of water because of how much water the cow needs and like how much water just goes into that whole process. But yeah, I definitely see really cool transition. There's this farm in Kansas that was a chicken farm, and they did a whole documentary on him, and it's on Netflix. I forgot what it was called, but this chicken farmer from Kansas essentially transformed his chicken farm into a mushroom farm, and he was talking about how depressed he was when he had to raise these chickens and then just send them to slaughter, and how much water he used and how many infections and diseases were spread across the chicken farm. And then when he transitioned to mushroom farming, it was like completely 360. He was like, I completely love my job. Like, I would never want to go back to chicken farming or animal agriculture farming. And he says it's way less resource intensive. There's no like contamination or like diseases or infections of birds and stuff. So it was really cool to see that. And I really hope that continues happening all over the place, just people's transition to traditional animal agriculture because it's so resource intensive and, we're in a really bad part of our climate. Like we're in, ecological disaster and animal agriculture obviously impacts that. So it's really awesome to start up mushroom farms in places where meat is so heavily consumed. And actually, our event next Saturday at Café con Leche, Julio is going to make a special dish using lion's mane.
Oh.
And he said that it used to be super popular, but mushrooms have just been so expensive and hard to get from El Paso because he has to get them from New Mexico. So it's super awesome, and I feel super happy and fulfilled that we're, filling that need of his of like fresh mushrooms. So he can provide that to the people who he cooks for and who love his lion's mane chile colorado and lion's mane like burritos and stuff. So yeah, that's definitely really awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that about your friend being vegetarian.
Yeah, and I mean he was just explaining like his reasons, and it made a lot of sense in that way.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel so, I don't know, like it was like very just like and I'm not gonna share his reasons for it obviously because it's like his reasons, but
Yeah.
As far as lion's mane though, and as far as using it as a substitute for protein, and what other mushrooms do you recommend using in like your dishes, along with lion's mane?
Oyster mushrooms for sure.
Oyster, yeah.
Oyster mushrooms and lion's mane mushroom are really good meat substitutes. And to be quite honest, just because I also am like primarily plant-based, I just have cut about 95% of meat out of my diet, but I wouldn't say mushrooms is the best protein source, but it's a good texture and flavor meat alternative. So it might not be like your go-to protein replacement, but it will be your go-to replacement of meat from a texture standpoint and flavor standpoint, if that makes sense. But lion's mane, oysters, there's this mushroom called lobster mushroom, which is like this red lobster-looking mushroom. Chicken of the woods.
Oh yeah, chicken of the woods is a really cool mushroom. It grows like these big red like fans, and it tastes like chicken when you fry it.
Oh, wow.
I also think king trumpets are super good.
Mm-hmm.
I've made like steaks out of these king trumpet mushrooms. They're just like gigantic. That classic mushroom that you see, they're just super gigantic ones.
Is that the classic red one with the white spots?
Oh,
in it? What is that?
That's an
Amanita,
actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the classic like
Damn.
The classic Super
like
Mario
the
mushroom.
yeah Super Mario or Christmas mushroom. But
Yeah,
with
but-
trumpet mushrooms, you could do like scallops because it has such a big stem
Okay.
There's so
that
many
you'll just like
things.
cut it and you could saute it like scallops. And then lion's mane will be like really good for steaks. We had a friend named Daniel in California. He gave us this like air sealed like lion's mane steak marinating in beet juice and like seasonings, and we just like threw it on the grill, and
It was
it like reduced the
amazing.
sauce.
It was
Crazy.
fantastic. It was like the best thing I've ever had. But there's so many different ways to make it. I'm so excited for those, whatever Julio's gonna make. Honestly, he hasn't given us like a distinct menu,
I think
but
he'll go with the burritos, honestly.
I
the
hope so.
Signature.
I'm excited. I can't wait. That's what
Yeah.
I'm like looking
I
I
forward
think
to.
his burritos are like the popular thing.
For sure. And then, sorry, I just also wanted to add with the oyster mushrooms, like you could do like fried, like you could do a wing replacement with that. So like
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
do fried oyster mushroom wings. And we have a really good friend named Marlon. He runs Community Vegan. It's a food truck in East Austin.
Yeah.
And he just, that's like his go-to, like all his dishes, it's like soul food, but he uses mushrooms. So he's
Yeah.
doing fried oyster wings. He's doing like lion's mane pulled pork. He's doing like just
Dime bags of
dime
like,
bags of lion's mane, like nuggets,
lemon
little fried
pepper
nuggets. Like,
chicken. It's crazy. That guy's insane.
it's
Austin?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, East Austin.
You have to try that out, David, at some
You
point.
guys
For
have to.
sure.
Let's talk about the event.
Yeah.
That's where I was gonna go.
Yeah.
What sparked the idea? Maybe outside of just like the need to educate the community, but like what sparked the idea for it to be in the form of an event like this? And what's been the process like organizing an event here in El Paso? Is this the first one for El Paso?
No, actually, we've hosted another Fungi Fest and a
Three.
Veterans Day mushroom conference for veterans specifically, and
Here?
yeah, here
Okay.
in El Paso.
This will be our fourth event here, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this time around, I definitely wanted it to be in collaboration with others. I feel like our other events were just us and us talking about fungi and us making the food or having a vendor come through, but it's really cool. I think it all just kind of aligned really perfectly, as things do, with Nancy and Julio, like the La Planta, like it's just really cool, like having that coffee, fungi, and plant connection. And I think it was a vision in my head, and I had mentioned it to him. I was like, we should have an event here. Like, they had lion's mane dishes. Like, she sells plants. Like, we should get some mushroom grow kits in there. Like, just make the place more fungi friendly and bring education. And kids under 12 are free. So, making it accessible for children who want to learn stuff. But yeah, I definitely think that's something that we want to do more as community engagement, and not just host events at this one venue, but try to bring in the community and get some fun stuff going on, some fun collaborations. And
Absolutely.
I'm really happy that Julio's bringing back the mushroom dishes, because he said that it was just really pricey and not very accessible or affordable, the mushrooms. So yeah, it's just perfect. Everything's aligning for that. And for the mushroom cultivation workshop at Viva La Plant, I saw the place, and we had done a couple workshops at plant shops in West Hollywood and LA. And I saw this plant shop, and I was like, damn, like, this is gorgeous. Like, I wonder if they'd be interested in hosting an event. So I reached out to them. And what I love about El Paso, too, is that everyone's so, like, down. I think everyone's just so open to community-based work. Everyone loves local, everyone loves, like, the borderland people who are here. So it was really cool. They also like foster out dogs, so working with companies that are also doing something that's really good for the environment and for just El Paso in general. But yeah, they foster dogs and they adopt them out at their shop, so that's really cool. And yeah, hopefully we have some dogs there at our workshop that can get adopted out. But
They'll be there at the event on Friday? Oh, on Saturday, sorry?
Saturday. So yeah, we have one on Saturday, and then we have one on Sunday.
Okay.
So the one on
back-to-back.
Sunday is the cultivation workshop at Viva La Plant, and then the one on Saturday is the El Paso Fungi Fest at Café con Leche.
Yeah. I did just want to iterate, just so the viewers know in case they want to go to any of them, but we're doing 4 total events next weekend. So Friday we'll be doing the NEEP 1-year anniversary NEEP collective 1-year anniversary, so we'll be a vendor there.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, Café con Leche Fungi Fest.
Yes.
Sunday morning, Viva La Plant, learn how to grow mushroom workshop. So if you want to learn, very just tight-knit and kind of intimate way of, like we'll be there to literally guide you how to grow mushrooms Sunday morning, and then Sunday evening we're doing the holistic mercado 3-year anniversary. So we'll be with a bunch of other vendors and presenters, just really touching base on holistic practices and foods and stuff like that.
Busy weekend.
Yeah,
busy
next weekend is
weekend.
gonna be
all about fungi.
stacked.
Just all about mushrooms.
When the time comes to return to California, let's talk about how you've built out a team here to be able to handle everything that you're gonna leave, like, for them to have the responsibility of. Like, what's been that process like? Did the people that you've brought onto the team already kind of know the process themselves too?
Yeah, luckily we have a really amazing team of people, from, my sister to his friends. They're pretty well reversed with fungi because of us. Like, we've definitely been like, this is what we do, and they're super on board. And the more we grow our team, we've been reaching out to more and more people to see if they'd love to join us. Everyone's super excited about it, and definitely the community we've cultivated here in such a short amount of time, which is like this past month, has made me feel less stressed about going back, because I know everything's going to work out. I know it's only going to continue to grow even if we're not here. But I also think it creates like excitement for when we do come back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so excited to see how the farm's doing and how everything's, holding up, and how the markets are. And yeah.
Well, the good thing is you're gonna have constant communication too. It's not like we're like in the 1900s.
I know, where I had to
Exactly.
like
Have to send a
leave
pigeon.
and
Yeah.
send a pigeon.
Yeah.
But
I'll hear from you in 7 days.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny that you asked that, just because that's like the next thing on my to-do list is literally like figure out this question. But realistically, I see it as like two different sides of it. One side is like the marketing and content creation aspect of it, everything that's digital, and then the other side of it is like the physical farm operation. And fortunately, like she said, her sister and my friends, they've been on this journey with us from 2 years ago, so they've learned a lot and been able to just be by our side the whole time. So I think just that transition into being back and forth as opposed to being here the whole time will be smoother, hopefully, than I think, or will be smooth. But it being a micro farm is still extremely manageable. Like, it's a very small operation. We're just getting started up, but I'm sure as we grow, there will be those growing pains, and we'll have obstacles and stuff to overcome. But that's the next thing actually I'm gonna like put into detail for our team to know how to handle.
Hash it out.
How does the conversation go for you guys when it comes to stuff that doesn't really have to do with the mushroom aspect, like the marketing or the content creation? Like, what do those tend to look like? Are you guys like talking about algorithms and shit? Are you guys kind of having a more free flow process with it?
I think it's nice to have a free flow process with it. I think our team is so small right now that all ideas are great ideas, and we're not like super corporate, so none of us are at a marketing table being like, no, we have to do this, we have to do this. It's mainly just like, I got a good video idea, or like he has a good video idea. But yeah, I'm glad that our team is still so small that there's no kind of like heated arguments on like, no, we should do it like this, or no, that's not good for marketing. But neither of us studied marketing. I mean, he was in business, but I handle most of the marketing, and it's pretty easy, honestly. I think it's not that difficult right now, because we're just starting, and it's more fun than like business. But we'll see how that goes.
I feel like we minimally like graze over analytics. Like, we'll kind of see just what days we have good engagement, what times we have good engagement, and stuff like that.
I also think because it's been so organic, our growth, that we don't put that much effort. Versus if it wasn't organic, or if it wasn't growing, we'd probably be like, okay, we need a strategy here. But I think, we definitely need to learn a little bit more about marketing, because you're the marketing master.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's been really organic, I think, also because of the collaborations that we've had. So, I mean, I feel like in a way, all these, just working with all these other businesses, it's really helped just expose us to their audiences and people who are already interested in mushrooms. But I feel like we're really gonna get into it with El Paso mushroom, just because like with Mycelium Matters, it's been super just like chill because we're not
Yeah.
selling a product. It's more of like building a community and offering a service. But with this, like now that we have like products in a way to sell, like produce to sell, like we do have to, you know, get into running ads or doing like influencer marketing campaigns, which is something we're working on right now.
Yeah.
And get a little deeper into the marketing aspect to be able to, you know, sell a product and grow the farm and just have produce moving and more people being aware of what we are doing and have to offer.
Yeah. Oh man. Mushrooms.
I know, right?
The world of
Mushrooms are amazing.
Let's see. Let's finish off with a couple of like closing off questions, but I guess when it comes to the Myco Materials or
Myco Materials.
Myco Materials. How do you envision that playing out? Is this something that you kind of just want to integrate into like the packaging of it, or like what kind of materials would you like to make to maybe even turn into products? Because like, I mean, can you turn insulation into a product that you offer? Maybe not, but stuff like this where it's like a small tangible thing. Are there any future like immediate plans?
Yeah.
Like what's the second product that's gonna come out on the shop? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So we have some like ice pack coolers, so like mycelium coolers made out of. This is actually half of one, but there's like, imagine another one of these. This part would close it, so like it's like kind of this like box that you could keep ice and drinks in. And then mainly just
Yeti.
like this one. But what I really want to do is I also want to make clothing out of it. So like have, you know, my own like line of mycelium based clothing, whether it's like the leather or like this type of fabric or material. But we have played with the idea, and that's kind of what we want to go forth long term, is creating businesses that use the applications that we teach about. So we want to create, you know, a whole organization, or I guess business or company, that makes different types of Myco Materials. We've gotten a couple requests for molds for specific products.
Oh, nice.
So at the Mercado, a couple women asked us if we can make these packagings for their product. So that's definitely something that we're super interested in, and we want to get into and get our feet wet into.
Yeah, that's on a larger scale.
The
too,
business
yeah.
of like biotechnology, mycelial biotechnology, and all what they can do. But
You should get a mold for this.
I know,
'Cause
yeah.
the box that it comes in is like falling apart. So we're like,
Exactly.
we need a case for this.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
maybe we can make a custom.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
That would be
With
sick.
the forms like already like this.
You-
I'm just kidding.
That would
I'm gonna make that shit custom.
No, definitely. Yeah, all you need is really a mold, and you can make anything you want. Like you can make, there's people who've made, there's this thing called a Myco caster, so it's a literal guitar made out of just this material.
Yeah, like the guitar body.
Do
Yeah.
you see this eventually being like a material that could be used in 3D printers? Is it already?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is, and I really hope it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now the way it grows is on hemp fiber, so you could kind of see it sticking out from the top,
Or any type of
grain.
agriculture waste.
So
yeah.
to like get that into a 3D printer,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
it's a little more complicated, but it might be possible because they're building like houses and pouring out cement now with like 3D printers and stuff.
Hell yeah. Dude.
But
I'm pretty sure some biomaterials already exist in terms of 3D printing, but I don't think it includes fungi. I think it's other
Like
types of
mycelium.
biomaterials. Yeah.
When you're putting this into a mold, is it liquid?
No, actually, it's the agriculture waste, whether it be the hemp fiber or the grain, already inoculated with the species. So you're kind of just putting it into a mold, the species of mushrooms with like a binder, the species of mushroom with a binder into the mold, and then you just let it grow.
if you've ever kind of like dug a little bit under soil or even at a cannabis farm and you see kind of just like white, like web-like stuff growing, that's mycelium.
Okay.
So as long as you have just even like a little bit of that, and the rest of it can be like hemp fiber, hemp stock, it could be like grain, it'll start to eat it up and grow. So that's kind of how it works. It's not like liquid, it's a very physical form. And yeah, Ixa has been super inspired to do like clothing. I want to definitely just go down the route of insulation and
Yeah.
have been talking to like a realtor here in El Paso to see how we can actually figure that out and like get it into a home, like get one house done and then, you know, from there build 2, 3, 4 more houses. But they've definitely already have a product out there in Europe for
Yeah.
insulation. But of course, just like the current insulation that exists right now is so cost efficient, like spraying insulation, it's like so cheap and easy to do that. Trying to replicate that is the challenge, because it takes kind of some time to grow, and it's
Yeah.
a solid figure like that. It's not as flexible as just spraying in foam or something like that.
But there's a lot of applications. Like one of our friends made a boat, like a 17-foot boat that
A
actually
canoe.
floats on water.
And he like
It's insane.
used it in the LA River, and he wants to use it to
Catalina
go all the way
Island.
to Catalina
From
Island and
Long
back
Beach.
in this literal boat made out of mushroom root.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to
That's
see their applications.
When you say it in that sentence, it's just like, damn, that's crazy.
Mushroom boat, yeah.
On with clothing, have you had a chance to just like own pieces of clothing that are made out of it?
I've never had a chance because it's super exclusive and
Okay,
expensive.
okay.
But I have made a couple pieces of fabric, which were super hard and kind of accidental. Like it's a lot of testing and a lot of research and a lot of trial and error to get to things like mycelium leather.
Yeah.
But one of our friends in Austin actually worked for this company called Myco and it was one of the first companies to ever introduce Myco leather, which is they call it reishi leather because it's made out of this specific mushroom called reishi, which is very, very efficient at making Myco materials. I think the species of these materials are also reishi. But that mushroom is amazing. It's also super beneficial for immunity and blood flow. Has crazy polysaccharides inside of it.
And the company that he's worked for, Mycoworks, they've crafted partnerships with Stella McCartney, with Lululemon,
Adidas.
Adidas.
Yeah.
So like it's
coming.
mainstream, but it's still just so like not very like
Luxury.
It's
known.
more so high-end products.
It's
Right?
very luxury, yeah, and
Sadly.
high end, like exclusive.
Does it hold up well? Is it comfortable?
Yeah, it's kind of like exactly like leather,
Oh,
but
okay.
softer. Like it doesn't use cowhide, which it could also be a really awesome solution to, you know, something that's considered byproduct from the animal agriculture industry, which is like cowhides.
Okay.
So it's really cool that they're using mycelium leather to kind of replicate something that we so often use, which is leather for jackets, shoes. But yeah, it's really exciting, and I want to play around with making those types of materials, but that company is closed sourced, so they don't show like this is how we do it. It's kind of really sad.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be open sourced when I do figure it out. That's kind of my main thing is accessibility always with anything fungal related. There's no reason why we shouldn't know how to do these things or why it shouldn't be shared with the public, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
kind of tying back to how sometimes maybe the motive is just like monetary.
I know, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's like a vicious circle, you know, it kind of just finds its
Yeah.
way back to that like, topic.
Monetary and like just how we are perceived by people around us, because MycoWorks, from what our friend told us, was offered by NASA to build a mycelium capsule that can like work in space, or it's just some sort of material made out of mushroom root that will function in space, and they turned it down because they just wanted to be
Luxury brand.
luxurious. They just wanted to be with Stella, next to Stella McCartney, next to
Adidas.
you know, Adidas or whatever, but
Yeah.
they turned down NASA, which must have been like a good contract. I don't know.
That must have been an easy billion.
I know, but just because of their
Maybe it's not because of
marketing.
no, I'm just kidding.
Both.
Just messing around. This is a little bit of like, and are you all speaking of all of the white root growing through the ground and kind of like growing on its own and taking over and becoming you know, materials? Are you familiar with The Last of Us?
Yes. Oh, I hate that. No, I'm just kidding.
What is the seriousness of that though, in like a real world aspect? Like, how often is that actually happening? Just obviously not on like a you know, a world problem situation.
It happens all the
It's
time.
always happening, correct? Like
It's always happening with ants.
Insects only.
So
not that so much, but like the growth of it and how like connected and how far these networks of these mushrooms can go.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
all the time.
yeah.
Like the oldest, largest living organism on this earth is a mat of mycelium.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we talking about in terms of length and how far?
Like
Thousands of
mi-
acres. Thousands of acres.
Do we know where that's at? Like South America or something?
It's in the northwest, I believe.
Northwest,
In the
yeah.
northwest. So
Really?
like
Northwest.
yeah, like northwest America, like where the old growth forest is.
Is it something you can see? Like it's already above ground at this point because it's grown so long, or
No, it's not above ground. All mycelial networks are underground, and it's just so large. Mycologists have been able to track the growth of the mycelial, and it essentially just, I mean, mycelium and fungi are ultimate decomposers, so it's so gigantic because it's decomposing so much of the woods and the redwoods and the dead animals and. But you can measure it with like I think it's like radiographic technology. So you kind of take a picture of the underground network of the soil, and you could see the fibers connecting like miles and miles and miles. But
They're the ultimate decomposers and also the ultimate connectors because plants will use this mycelium network to communicate with other plants.
yeah,
So they've studied trees literally sending nutrients to its offspring trees through this mycelium network. So it's also like a form of communication and transport
yeah,
of nutrients among plant life as well. Like plants are very much like alive and communicating with one another, and it's through mycelium.
do you think they're low key? It's low key more intelligent than us.
I think fungi is super intelligent. Spores can survive in space, so there's this theory that like they were sent by an alien species, which is whatever, but they're super intelligent. The subway systems in Japan are actually based out of mycelium. So they put a little maze and a little route, and they allowed mycelium to find it, and they based their subway systems off of the mycelium growth and the way it grew. But yeah, it's super
Japan?
intelligent. Yeah, in Japan subway systems, it's
Their subway
quite
system is
profound.
incredible.
Can you imagine, like, even just thinking of that? Like, how are we gonna figure this out? Oh, let's just lay down some.
Exactly. Like, honestly, traditional Chinese and just like Asian medicine is way ahead. They've been using mushrooms for centuries, and they call it TCM, which is just traditional Chinese medicine, and it's very effective.
Are there like at least two other examples you can give me of some crazy uses of it, such as that?
Mycelium?
Yeah, like in that sense, where like they freaking developed a subway system out of it.
Let me
It doesn't have to
think.
be subway or like
Yeah.
transportation, but is there
Hmm.
pop quiz?
I know, right? I'm trying to think of some really cool uses of mycelium.
I feel like just like that,
Intelligence.
just like discovering like plants literally like being able to send their offspring like food, just like parents would for humans. Like you take care of your offspring. I think that
Oh,
is
yeah.
really cool, and also just how it can eat and decompose certain things. Like people are trying to experiment with certain types of mycelium that can like break down plastic bottles, that can break down
Yeah.
cardboard and styrofoam and stuff like
Breaks down
that
plastic.
because we have landfills that just pile and pile and pile over each other and they never break down. And because it's so much waste, it literally there like is no oxygen there. It's like sucked out of the area because it's just so much carbon waste. So the stuff never breaks down. Even the organic produce just doesn't break down because it's no oxygen in those environments. But people are testing mycelium that can go in there and literally start to eat this stuff, start to use it as food for itself. Another cool thing about them is their stomachs are on the outside of them. So think of like we have stomachs that have like compounds and stuff inside it that like breaks down the food. What they do is they use the outside of their cell walls, or just like their bodies, and they excrete this liquid that breaks down the food first, and then they absorb it back. So all their like digestive process is done externally.
It's amazing. They call another cool fact is they call just like the mycelial network the wood wide web because it's very, very similar to just how internet works and how it's so like it expands like insane. Like it's under all of our feet right now. It's kind of hard to comprehend how much mycelium is on the earth, but it's on top of kind of every living soil, even in the desert, even in the forest. But it's kind of like this like interconnected network of just fibers that are fungi.
Alive.
Yeah,
that are
alive,
biologically
that
alive.
can talk to each other. I really like to compare it to just like our own neural network, because if you look at it underground, it literally looks kind of like how our brain's dendrites and axons look like. It's really insane. But the wood wide web,
Yeah.
instead of the world wide web.
Are there any things that you'd like to just say that might be helpful warnings about mushrooms that we do consume every day? Not even just psilocybin. Like, is there anything that you should maybe worry about with like lion's mane, for example, or is it honestly like pretty harmless? All the stuff that is in that's regulated, that's available to sell, it's legal.
Yeah,
Is there really any warnings that you should?
everything is pretty much harmless. Like they're all super beneficial for you, unless you have like a allergy to fungi. I've met a
Okay.
couple people who were allergic to mushrooms and didn't know until they tried mushrooms for the first time. But I think what we should be really, I guess, vigilant about is the smoke shop mushrooms. Like,
Okay.
if you're trying to take some shrooms, like, do not take anything that you find from the smoke shop. Like, that'll harm you. Like, the mushrooms from the supermarket, you're good, but
Yeah.
those smoke shop mushrooms, bro, I do not know what's inside of them because it's not real mushrooms.
And if you want like safer resources or like learning where you can have access,
Yes.
I would say just send us an email or send us a DM, and we can definitely
Give you resources,
give
yeah.
people resources to find safe ways of consuming mushrooms.
Mhm.
Just because we wouldn't want, I feel like the Say No campaign failed, right? Like,
Oh,
how are we
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
just tell people like don't go to the smoke shop and then don't say anything else? Like, don't go to the smoke shop, but come to us and we'll give you resources. There's counties, there's programs, there's people that we know that can bring access to you.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Woo.
El Paso Mushroom Company. You said emails, and they can find you. Where exactly can people find you on the gram, on the internet? You want to
Yes.
plug your
Our Instagram is El Paso Mushroom. Super easy. You type up El Paso Mushroom, we're right there.
singular?
Yes.
Yeah,
El Paso Mushroom.
singular altogether, El Paso Mushroom, and then we have our website on there, and our email, and then our other company, Mycelium Matters, is also just flat out Mycelium Matters on Instagram, and then on the internet, myceliummatters.org. But something some people mess up on is Mycelium Matters. They put two M's, but the way we crafted the brand was just one M connecting both words. Mycelium Matters. So
Yep.
not two M's, just one M in the middle.
It'll all be written up. You know how it is. You know how we do it.
Yep.
But just for the people who are listening on the streaming services, it'll be in the description anyway. But hey, that's gonna be the conversation. I don't know if you guys can hear that pause or anything, but we would like to thank you guys again, man.
Aw,
That
thank
like
you.
I feel this is one of those where we just it was a lot of just new information. Just so I really do appreciate all the knowledge that you went ahead and shared,
Aw,
because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it is a testament to your guys' passion, because I really think you can only speak about that if you're really about it.
For sure.
So I definitely wish you guys the best of luck with all the workshops that you guys are going to have. It's really cool that
Thank
you're
you.
in an opportunity to like lead and educate and show this to people.
Mhm.
There's something about that leadership role that just is really fulfilling. And so I hope that you guys
Sure.
find the fulfillment with it.
Thank you.
We hope that you guys have success at El Paso
Aw.
Fungi Fest. You guys, El Paso, they can buy tickets.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can buy tickets online or at the door. We're on Eventbrite, Visit El
Okay.
Paso.
All in the bio and
all
whatnot?
events,
Yeah, it'll be on our Instagram bio.
Okay. And Saturday.
Saturday
Saturday.
the 24th, yes.
There we go. At Cafe Con Leche. Y'all know how it is.
Yes.
You know where La Planta's at. You know
Yeah.
how it is. But, hey, yo, man. That's going to be the episode for today. That's how we do it over here at the HQ. You know what it is. Every Wednesday. Legends only in the building. Hey, man. Make sure you guys show love to the channel. Make sure you guys follow us. Subscribe. Catch all of our full-length episodes of the pod and Midnight Sessions at MF Pearl on YouTube. Or you could also go ahead and find us on the gram. That's where we update all of our stuff the most frequently. So that's going to be at MF Pearl. Or, of course, if you follow the pod, it's at MFHQ Live. But of course, if you also just listen to us on your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Pod, Amazon Music, make sure you guys show love, share it, give it a rating, spread it around, help out the platform, help the boys out, help us get this project out in front of more people's eyes so that this good conversation can go ahead and get shared. But that's gonna do it for today, guys. We thank you all once more for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
I know.
Yeah, definitely. Good episode. It was a good conversation always. So we'll see you guys at the next Wednesday, man. Volume 2, live at MFHQ. Yeah.